What's up, everybody? We're here with another fun episode. Today we've got Gary. Gary, welcome to the show.
What's going on, Sean? Konnichiwa from Japan. Good to be here.
Yeah, hell yeah. Gary, I'm excited for today's conversation because you're a subject matter expert in something that, to be honest, is something I hadn't really considered up until quite recently. I would love it if you introduced yourself to the audience and
Yeah,
maybe we start there.
definitely. So my name's Gary Huang. I'm from LA, originally born and raised. I've been selling on ecom since way back 2005. That's when I first got started. The first product I sold was on eBay. I used to do I used to hunt Craigslist for those of you guys back in the day, like Craigslist for like estate sales in Brentwood, Beverly Hills, like all the rich people's neighborhoods. I would like drive up my old beat up like Mazda 626 and be like the first person there on a Saturday morning to scoop up all of the fancy, designer handbags and, the good stuff. And then flipped on my eBay. That's how I got started. And so my background is kind of like the intersection of e-commerce and supply. Long story short, I moved out to Asia in 2008. I moved to Shanghai and I found a job in sourcing. I've just stumbled upon it, and over time I became like the sourcing guy at the little consulting firm in Shanghai. We had foreign clients, so I was contacting like hundreds of Chinese factories all over all over China. Almost feels like the world, because China is like the biggest factory in the world. Anything from like those like exercise bikes you see in the gyms, to solar water heaters, to kites, to umbrellas, you name it. And then I started selling on Amazon back in about 2015, 16. I was listening to like those old school podcasts, like, Scott Volker, The Amazing Seller, for those of you guys that remember. And yeah, so that's how I got started selling, and moved to Japan in 2020 with my wife and son, who was a baby at the time. We unintentionally moved because we were like digital nomading, traveling through Southeast Asia, and we were living in Shanghai at the time. And then COVID hit China. We didn't want to go back because of obvious reasons. So we ended up coming to Japan, because we always love traveling to Japan, because we always love like the food and the culture. And like the silver lining for that is I stumbled upon Amazon Japan, which turns out to be the second biggest Amazon marketplace in the world that almost nobody is talking about. So I've been selling on Amazon Japan. I've been helping some other sellers as well. So I kind of wanted to share this opportunity, how to get started selling on Amazon Japan, because almost nobody is talking about it. Yeah, so that's kind of my quick overview.
Yeah, and I mean, before we jumped on, one of the things that I said to Gary is like, yeah, I've actually sold a few products on Amazon Japan for some clients, but
Mm-hmm.
it really has never been a focus, even though the
Mm.
Japanese market, like Gary said, is the second biggest market that Amazon has. So I'm excited to be talking today with you, Gary, about just like the opportunity and what actually we should be thinking when it comes to it. I know you've got some
Yeah.
slides prepared, so before we get into the slides, I think
Mhm.
before you hit record, or you hit share, what's maybe like one thing you really hope the audience takes away from this presentation?
There's no tariffs in Japan. So everyone's worried about the tariffs, right? So you imagine cutting that out. I think that's the big thing. And the other, I mean, that's the big thing right now, because,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. So
You can take the same product that you're selling in the US, and obviously you have to do product market fit analysis, which we'll talk about. But imagine cutting
mhm.
out the tariffs and like rewinding back to like, it was like 20, whatever, right? Like pre tariffs. That's what you can do potentially.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, I mean that's got me interested. Do you want to hit share and maybe we go through
Yeah.
the slides?
Okay. Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see the slides?
All good.
Okay. So, all right. Today I'm gonna cover the 6 bridges to sell into Amazon Japan. First, I want to just share a little bit more about why I sell on Amazon Japan, because I mean almost nobody is talking about it. And I previously, in my initial research, I found that Japan was the fourth biggest marketplace in the world. But you can see I have fourth crossed out, right? Because later, like in a more recent study just earlier this year by Smart Scout, annual revenue by Amazon Marketplace, Japan is ranked number 2. It's the second biggest Amazon marketplace in the world. So number 1 is the US with 433 billion, but Japan is coming in at 55 billion, number 2. Germany is third, 45 billion. UK is fourth, 39 billion. And Canada is fifth, 17 billion. So I feel like, one of the biggest questions that almost nobody is paying attention to. I mean, like when you sell on Amazon, everyone's like, okay, you got to find the right product, right? I mean, that's the important thing, competition, etc. But this the other big thing that no one's talking about is like the right marketplace, right? If you're selling in a marketplace like, that's too competitive, then it's going to be a lot harder, right? But if you're selling in a marketplace that's too small, people are talking about like, selling on, Australia, right? Australia's ranked all the way down there, like 3 billion, right? And Japan is 55, right? So like for the same amount of work, you could be getting a lot more ROI, okay? So just some quick facts about Japan. Japan has the fourth largest GDP like economy in the world. Population 126 million people, which is double the population of UK. In Japan, Amazon is the number one most popular e-com site. Revenue 16 billion in 2021. Everybody in Japan is using Amazon. You have like here in Tokyo, Amazon Prime. I can get you know pet stuff like for a guinea pig. I can buy like my son like wanted to get like a recorder. I just my wife just pulled up her phone, Amazon Japan app. Just like in the States, you get next day prime shipping, right? Super easy. E-com is still growing. Forecast really fast, 6% a year in Japan. But the golden opportunity in Japan is there's less competition and it's weaker competition in Amazon Japan. If you look at this study done by Statista in 2019, just like the number of active marketplace sellers, right? I mean, obviously, US has the most sellers with over 1.1 million. UK has 280,000. Germany has 240. Italy has 210. And Japan is ranked all the way down. I mean, at the time of this study, it was only 173,000, right? So it was ranked number 8 in the world. And also, like, competition is a lot less sophisticated. A lot of the translations are very rough by foreign sellers. So, I mean, a lot of sellers may be pleasantly surprised, right? So, Sean, feel free to jump in anytime if there's anything that resonates, because I'm just going to keep going quick. Basically, Japan's the second biggest marketplace that nobody is selling into. So let's take an example. So you're probably wondering, so reviews, I mean, like competition is a lot lower, right? What about reviews? Okay, so I did a side-by-side study. I'm not gonna say this is a scientific study, but I just pulled up on my app, right? I just typed in thick yoga mat, and yoga mat is kind of like, I mean, for those of you guys in the Amazon selling world, we know this is a saturated product, right, Sean? I mean, this is something that you want to sell as of right now in 2025. So in the US, the best seller, obviously, 75,632 reviews, 4.6 stars. But on the right, Amazon Japan, the best seller has only 73 reviews, 3.9 stars, right? So if you're wondering, do people in Japan use yoga mats? Yes, they do, right? So this is just one extreme example of how the review counts are a lot lower. So the competition will be lower. So that's one reason why Japan has a really great opportunity. The other is PPC cost. So Sean, I think you would definitely be interested in this, obviously with all the stuff that you're doing, right, with sponsored ads, etc. So in Japan, okay, this was a study that we did a couple years ago. You know, if you have a couple hundred reviews in Japan, you can really leverage that to lower PPC costs, even with zero sales history, because we'll talk about how to carry over your reviews from US to Japan. Okay. Some cases we're talking about average CPC as low as 29 cents per click. All right. So PPC is a lot lower. Another reason to sell in Japan, lower FBA fees. So, everyone's dealing with all of the inbound placement, the low inventory level, the aged inventory surcharge. In Japan, everything is cheaper. They're not as overloaded. Japan, like the country, size wise, it's about the size of California. Okay. So it's an island, and logistics are not as challenging as trying to fulfill all across the US. Okay. So long story short, basically you're gonna deal with less fees, less age inventory surcharges, etc. So lower FBA fees. And I think like the big thing, as we talked about at the top, is no Trump tariffs, right? So the good thing is there's no trade war between Japan and China. So you're only going to pay the duties, right? So you're not going to pay some inexorbitant amount, and there's no like uncertainty. It's like with the tariffs going up and down, and like who knows, right? So long story short, your landed costs in Japan will be significantly less, and that can go directly to your bottom line profitability. Okay.
Okay,
Um,
so I want to
yeah.
stop there for a second because this is, I mean, a very hot topic across a whole variety of different places on the internet. People are talking a lot about tariffs, Amazon fees, just PPC costs, all the things that are really starting to hurt margins, especially selling in the US or Canada or any of these other major marketplaces. I think one of the main things that I want to take away from this is like have you ever been able to take these different factors and kind of combine them into like a how much of a savings you might expect to see going to Japan? And again, it's okay if the answer is no, but I'm just thinking like, you know, PPC is 25% lower. In like inbound fees are at least
Yeah.
15% lower, like, and then tariffs, depending on the product you sell, that could be anywhere from like, you know, have you considered, and then also the cost of shipping because it's much shorter.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there are
That's
so
the next
many.
point. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I like,
Yeah.
and maybe
Yeah.
you're going to build up to this, but is this something that you've been able to quantify? Have you been able to estimate it all out?
That's a really good question, Sean. Long story short, I do not have an actual example, but that's something that I will create. I'm making a mental note of that right now. Obviously, every product category is different. Like, the
Hmm.
size, if you're selling like, office equipment, like I can think of one example because there's someone like a seven-figure seller that I know that he came to our Japan
Hmm.
event 2 years ago, and he was able to scale his sales in Japan from like zero to like high six figures USD revenue in just like a
Hmm.
year and a half. And then he literally, I mean, he sells office equipment. I can't tell the exact product, but he basically leveraged the like, the six bridges that we talked about. And then he went from like zero to like high six figures in 2 years. And he's not Japanese, right? But yeah, I let me see what I can do. Maybe we can do a follow-up part two, but I really like that question
Yeah.
because that's
Yeah.
that's exactly what we need, like a case study, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially
Or
right now
even
with the
just like
tariffs.
the
Yeah.
A/B mathematical explanation, that's
Yeah.
like because like the savings seem gigantic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the main thing I'm looking at here is like, wow, I
Yeah.
didn't
We
really
I mean
consider
we
how
can
many
kind of like
factors.
yeah, I mean, we can kind of guesstimate. I mean, like with the
Hmm.
tariffs, everyone's paying 55% from China as of the time of the recording, right? So
Hmm.
immediately you're going to cut that out. So 55%, that's a given. Okay. With the shipping, I mean, just logistically, I mean, let's go on to the next point, right?
Hmm.
Cheaper and faster shipping from China to to Japan than to the US. So, I mean, you don't have to be like a logistics expert, guys. Just look at the world map. If you see like, China to US, there's the huge Pacific Ocean sandwiched in between, right? And it's going to take like 30 to 45 days to cost that. So if you talk about the fuel, if you talk about like everyone is, peak volume going into Q4, I mean, containers, last time I checked, were like 3,000 plus. So
Hmm.
it's going to be high, right? I mean, shipping from China to Japan, it's only going to take 7 to 10 days because Japan is really China's neighbor. If you board a flight from Shanghai to Tokyo, it's like 2 hours, right?
Hmm.
So, I mean, it's super close. So, literally, that's going to cut down on your shipping costs. And, I was talking to Brandon Young. I think you know Brandon as well. He's like a eight-figure seller, and we did a training with his community. And then when I showed him this, like, just it was like a huge light bulb moment for him. I mean, he publicly says he sells toys, right? Because it's just not only in terms of the shipping, the cost, and the time, but also the cash flow, because you don't have to send as much inventory to stay in stock. Because literally, you can almost drip feed from China to Japan, right? So instead of
Hmm.
placing like an order for 3, 4 months of inventory, you can lower that down to maybe like a month, right? Because
Hmm.
it's going to be so much faster, right? So think about the savings and warehousing, fulfillment, long-term storage if you get stuck, et cetera, and also going to Q4. There really isn't like the insane Q4 surcharge, right? So all of
Yeah.
these, yeah,
At that point, you're almost turning like regular one-time sale goods into a consumable. Like it's like,
yeah,
like the
yeah.
cash conversion cycle is so much faster there.
Exactly. And everyone knows like the Amazon business, literally, it's a cash flow business, right? I mean, you gotta cash is like the lifeblood of your business, right? So I think I mean, in summary, it's kind of ridiculous. Like almost nobody is talking about it. And, there's so many factors that could make you a lot more profitable, right? So that's why, I mean, at the same time, there's challenges, right? It's nobody said it's going to be easy, right? I mean, there's the language barrier selling in Japan. There's, a lot of people don't know like understanding what's involved, how to open up an account, like how to keep in stock, language like for the PPC ads, of course, right? Because of language and also like importing regulations, food import requirements, etc. So I'm gonna cover most of these in our Six Bridges training today. All right. So, are you ready, Sean?
I'm super ready.
Okay, let's get into this. So, I already introduced myself. So, besides my background as a veteran e-com seller, I also run the online seven-figure seller summit. So, since 2018, the one of the leading online conferences for Amazon e-commerce sellers. We usually get about 1,500 to 1,700 people that attend our event online. So really, my goal is to do everything I can to help e-com sellers succeed. All right, and then I also run events in Japan. So today we're going to cover why Japan, which is for the six bridges, and then a bonus seventh bridge. Okay, so bridge number one, the first step to consider selling into Japan is the most important one. It's the product market fit. Okay, so basically the $1 million question is, will my product sell in Japan? Obviously, there's market differences, consumer behavior differences. So the good news is there's tools out there that you're probably already using that can help you answer this question. So first is the Amazon Product Opportunity Explorer. So this will help you gauge the size of the market. And also there's external tools like Jungle Scout, Helium 10, Data Dive. They can help you analyze Amazon Japan search volume, competitor analysis. Helium 10 especially, recently they made an upgrade, and they can auto translate all of the Japanese keywords, all of the data, so you don't have to like manually do Google Sheets and Google Translate functions like that. The other cool thing, and not a lot of people are aware of this, and Sean, maybe I don't know if you're aware of this, but if you go to Amazon Japan's website, amazon.co.jp, and if you type in a search term, so for example, if you're searching for a dog bed, there's actually a English language toggle that you can use. So it will machine translate everything from Japanese into English. It's not going to be perfect, but it's good enough. I mean, at least for our initial product market fit analysis, just so you can see how, are people selling dog beds, what price point, you can find the reviews. You can also find out hey, maybe there's like, people selling like my product, right? Because there's like, those type of, whether you call them hijackers or like, unauthorized, like, third party sellers, right? So that would be the first step that I would take to do that. Okay. The
Here's one
other
fun
really cool,
fact.
yeah.
Like I'm Canadian. I I always thought that Amazon had this feature, and I think
Hmm.
they have had it for a long time. But
Hmm.
my only language is English, but they did make us learn French in school. So
Hmm.
I would go to Amazon.ca, and I always would see the flag there because Amazon.ca, I think, was
Hmm.
legally required to have French and English. So
Hmm.
I've actually been very used to this idea.
Yeah.
Um, I've even tested it. I've like gone on Amazon.ca and tried to search things in French just to see like, if it's going to
Yeah.
come up the same way, if it's not going to come up. So
Yeah.
this is true across a number of different
Yeah. Yeah.
marketplaces. You can just search in the
That's right.
language and it'll come back.
That's right. That's right. Okay. And the other nifty little tool is a website you may have heard of called YouTube. YouTube you can use to kind of get a glimpse of how Japanese people could use a product, right? So if you're selling a kitchen product market fit, you want to find out, hey, do people use my kitchen product in Japan? You can literally just type in like Japanese kitchen walkthrough in YouTube in English, and you'll probably find some videos of exactly that. So, I mean, this is not like, like a scientific study, but as entrepreneurs, we always find a way, right? So this is another way that you can find out initial product market fit analysis without having to, physically come to Japan. Yeah. So just for the sake of time, we'll move fast. Okay. So an example of a bad product market fit is something like a taco holder. I mean, I don't know about you, Sean. I love tacos, and this
Hmm.
is like something kind of cool, like in the U.S., right? Because people love tacos, they make Taco Tuesday. But I hate to break it to you guys, but in Japan, not a lot of Japanese people make tacos at home, right? So that's just one example of like a bad product market fit. So before you get too excited about selling in Japan, I just want you to do like the initial analysis with the steps that we just talked about to find out. Okay, so that would be the first step. All right. Should we move on or any questions?
Yeah. No. That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. And I
Okay.
think that's very logical.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to bridge number two. So this is import and compliance. So Japanese import and compliance customs laws are different from the US and other countries. Obviously, your product, it depends on your product. So kind of to distill everything down, there's four key categories that tend to get more scrutiny from Japanese regulators. So these are supplements, cosmetics, medical devices, and plastic products that touch food or drink. So basically that anything that goes on your body or in your body, they'll get more scrutiny from Japanese regulators. So what does that mean? Just be aware of compliance and testing costs. The costs really depend on the size and how complex the product is. You may need to test separate parts of the product, which can be more expensive. I know most of you guys already have product compliance tests, but the Japanese import customs laws are different from, let's say, the US. So they may require, and they probably will require, separate lab testing at their designated lab. Okay, so just to be aware of this, there could be additional compliance tests upfront. I mean, especially if you're selling like food products, that can add up. Okay, so just to give you guys a real world view. Okay, a lot of you guys had questions about, do I need to register a company in Japan to sell? Do I have to be based in Japan to sell in Japan? No, you do not need a Japanese company, and you don't have to be based in Japan, which is good news. You can use your existing, let's say, US LLC, or if you have any other corporation. What you do need is a Japanese ACP. It stands for Attorney for Customs Procedures. So basically, they're like an agent that represents you on your behalf in case like the government has any questions, they want to call somebody, they want to contact someone. The Japanese government just wants someone in Japan to do that for you on your behalf. So that's bridge number 2. So bridge number 3 is localization, or what I like to call Japanification. So when we talk about like localizing the product in Japan, it goes beyond just translation. You have to make sure your listings are tailored to the Japanese market and culture. So everything from like the product description to the images. So in this example, as you can see on screen, it's Maybelline New York. So everyone knows like this is a famous cosmetics brand, right? But you can see on their Amazon Japan storefront, they've totally Japanified the listing, the language, there's Japanese language, but also there's, images of like Asian models, and even like there's some English, but like the English looks a little funny. I mean, I don't know about you, Sean. Can you read off what that says, like the English part of this?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it wouldn't my grammar teacher would not give me a pass on that one.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, there's Japanese, and there, like the English says fashion brow ultra fluffy. So it just goes to show like, it's not just like translating it, because like Japanese people, they'll call out like certain features and in English, and the rest of it will be in Japanese, and there's like 3 different language scripts in Japanese. So long story short, get your translations done by a professional and someone that has Amazon SEO experience, not just like some random, Japanese translator off of Fiverr. Okay, because you have to ideally get someone with some SEO experience as well. Okay, quick example of Japanification. Okay, pop quiz, Sean. What's everyone's favorite Christmas dinner restaurant in Japan?
Well, based on this photo, I have a pretty good guess.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
The
it's
answer is
yeah, KFC. Yeah,
KFC. Yeah.
yeah.
So this an extreme example of Japanification, because it was like the 1960s, and there's like a like a yearning for like in Japanese people, like they like certain things that are foreign, right? Like they're into like French food. They're into like, vintage like American fashion. And then, as the Japanese people were learning about like foreign traditions and holidays like Christmas, they saw like, hey, there's like the roast ham and like the turkey. But in Japan, there's the kitchens are tiny, and like there's no ovens here. There's like a little toaster oven. So like the really smart KFC marketing executives, they're like, hey, why don't we turn this into an opportunity? So like they started marketing KFC as like a Christmas like tradition. And then nowadays, like for Christmas, literally you have to book a table at the local KFC, and then they have like Christmas buckets, like fried chicken. So it's become like co-opted into like Japanese culture, right? So this is kind of an extreme example, but you can also see it like at Starbucks, like during the cherry blossom season, they have like the sakura flavored lattes, and Japanese people like, I mean, there's like a lot of foreign brands that like Japanify their products really well. Like even Kit Kat, I mean, like they have like matcha green tea flavored Kit Kat like chocolates and stuff like that. So just think about like ways to Japanify your listing. Okay, so that's bridge number three. So bridge number four next is shipping logistics and 3PLs. We talked about how it's cheaper and faster shipping from a Chinese factory to Japan than shipping to the US and EU. The other good news is if you're manufacturing in other countries like India, Vietnam, and Thailand, there are certain free trade agreements. So you can not only cut out the tariffs, but like your duty rates could be even lower or even duty free. So not many people are aware of this. This will potentially add, I mean, you're going to save 55% given, right? Cutting out the Trump tariffs. If you're paying like, let's say, 10% tariffs or, I mean, 10% duties, 15% duties, besides the tariffs, you could potentially lower that as well. So that could be at least like 60, 70% savings bottom line, right? So Sean, I know like earlier you were trying to like add everything up. So I'm trying to like put together the pieces of the puzzle. Okay. So that's additional savings. All right. So bridge number five is Amazon Japan launch strategy. So obviously there's so many different launch strategies out there, with PPC, etc. But I feel like the biggest launch strategy, and especially if you are already selling on Amazon, I'm talking about to you if you're like a high six-figure, 7 or 8 figure seller, if you're selling on Amazon US or Amazon EU, you can literally, with the Amazon Global Reviews system, you can carry over your reviews for the same listing, for the same SKU from the US, from Europe into Japan. So if you have like 700 reviews or like 1,500 reviews, on day one launch strategy in Japan, you're going to have 700 reviews. You're going to have 1,500 reviews with zero sales history in Japan. Okay. So that is huge, obviously, because you don't have to worry about Vine. You don't have to worry about getting reviews. So that's the big thing because you need way fewer reviews to compete in Japan, as we saw earlier. And then the other thing is this is social proof. So this will help your conversion rate. This could lower your PPC costs. It just makes everything a lot easier. Okay. So that is a really big thing that can help you sell in Japan. All right, let's move on to bridge number six. This is to optimize your sales and marketing. So Amazon PPC in Japan, the cost will be lower because there's less competition, there's less bids, also opportunities with the new types of all the promos, the promotions, the ads, the bid management, and you also have the same in-depth data analysis and optimization. Okay. I'm not going to dive too deep into PPC today. I wanted to highlight another marketing strategy that people may not be aware of, and that's external marketing, external traffic. Influencer marketing is very effective in Japan. People are just like glued onto their phones all day long. Like when you're on the train, literally every single person has their head down on the phone. Like you feel like naked without your phone, literally. Okay, like social media is key. So some examples of influencer marketing you see, influencer marketing, especially on YouTube. I mean, whether it's like, Pokemon, like Sony, like Hasbro toys, Coca-Cola, avocado from Mexico, right? I mean, you see like all of these influencers talking about products, Japanese influencer marketing. And shout out to our friend Ritu Java. She gave excellent training about social media marketing in Japan. So in Japan, the number one app used is not like Instagram. It's Line. Sean, have you heard of Line before?
So I have, but I would love a refresher, especially for the audience, because not everyone
Yeah.
in the audience knows what Line is.
So Line is a native Japanese app. So it's this ultimate social media app in Japan. It combines like messaging, and you can, like, different companies, they have like Line accounts so you can follow them. So when you go to like Starbucks, or even if you order something off of Amazon, oftentimes there's a QR code, and then you can get Line coupons as well. And then you can use these coupons to go to the Amazon listing to redeem the coupon. So basically, Line is the number one app in Japan. Like when you meet somebody in Japan, you don't ask for their number, you ask for their line. Okay, everybody is online. All right, and then there's like Line group chats, etc. For example, Anchor, right? Everyone knows Anchor, right? Like, the number one third party seller on Amazon. Anchor Japan has a Line app. So literally, like, I bought like an Anchor power bank off Amazon Japan. There was a QR code. I scanned it. I think there was like a coupon code there. And then like they're sending me like tags and like, sales and stuff like that. And literally, like, if you implement this strategy well, Japanese people love to shop around holidays because like it's so crowded and like a lot of people just are just chilling at home, with like the AC on in the hot summer and they're just like shopping on their phone. Like Line is like the ultimate lever. Like every time you send out a Line message, it's like you're just getting more sales off Amazon. Okay? So Line is the number one social media app in Japan. Twitter, surprisingly, is very big, or X is very big in Japan. It really they had like a network effect in the 2000s because like with the Japanese language, like the characters, like everyone remembers, but some people may remember, like back in the day, 140 character limit on Twitter, right? So with Japanese, it was actually more like economical, like people could say more. And the other cool thing about Twitter for Japanese people is like the whole anonymity of it, because Facebook, you have your real name, but like Twitter, you can just like, put up anything, right? So Twitter actually
Mhm.
still has a big following in Japan. Facebook is not very big in Japan. Instagram is it's pretty popular. Like a lot of businesses have Instagram accounts, and TikTok is making a big splash. At the time of this study, a couple years ago, TikTok wasn't as big, but TikTok Shop is just about to open in Japan this year. So
Mm.
that's a big point. Okay. Yeah. So those are the main social media channels, and I put together a selling on Japan bonus pack for you guys. If you guys are interested, I put together a Amazon Japan 12-point scorecard so you can find out how likely your product is going to sell in Japan. And also we have some free training videos and tools to help you sell in Japan. So if people are interested, they can scan the QR code or they can visit the URL here, bit.ly/sell on Japan too. And if they're interested in learning more, please contact me at Gary at 8020sourcing.com. There's a typo here. Gary at 8020sourcing.com. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, this was really, really interesting. I had a couple of questions.
Yeah,
First question I had
absolutely.
was, I know that some people have had a really hard time getting their images to localize because Amazon locks the images and then they all show up in English. So
Yeah.
I know that Amazon has a workaround for this, but I was wondering if you had that information handy because localizing your images is very important,
Yeah,
obviously. But
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I did the localization. So basically, what you don't want, like what Sean is saying, you don't want, like, let's say your English, images with all of the image text to come on in Japan, right? You want to have the Japanese version come on. So there is a way to customize it into so that your listings on Amazon Japan will have the Japanese images and your Amazon US will have US images. I don't recall off the top of my head just because I did it so many years ago, but definitely there's a way to do that. So yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
So there is a way to do it. Maybe
I
we'll
don't
make a
have the
follow up.
information off the top of my head. I could find it
Yeah.
later, or I mean, like ChatGPT
Yeah. I
is your
mean,
friend. I mean,
yeah,
it's not
exactly.
rocket science, but yeah, you can definitely do it.
Yeah.
It's in
Okay.
Seller Central, but I just don't remember off the top of my head. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So one of the things I took away from this that I really had not considered is like the line to Amazon pipeline.
yeah.
Like people will put up a promotion online and then it'll feed over to Amazon. Does
Yeah.
Line have its own e-commerce or is Line kind of more like a traditional like more like Facebook or more like TikTok? Because like TikTok Shops is coming out, but that's the thing I was
It's
wondering.
more like WeChat, like the Chinese
Yeah.
super app. So it's like a combination of like Facebook Messenger. They don't like people don't really there isn't like a TikTok shop in line, but like what people do is they drive traffic from their line account. So like it's like so the flow would be like this. You create an insert card for your Amazon Japan product, right? And then
Mm,
obviously you're not begging for a review. You want to stay TOS compliant, but you can say
mhm,
follow us online, or let's say, for like the kite product. I used to sell kites, right? So I would
mhm,
have like a QR code with, a video, okay, like how to get started selling, like flying your kite in 5 minutes, right? And then like people could
mhm,
scan the line account, and then, they scan the QR code to go to, add as a friend online. So that's the key. You want to collect like friends online. So if you're a seller, you want these people to add you as a friend. This way you can group message them. Right. So like you can
mm,
say, hey guys, it's summertime. I know it's super hot. This is a great time to, go out to the beach. Why not get your kite? And here's 500 yen off. Right. And then you just, click here, and then it'll go to your Amazon link. So
that,
basically that's how it works.
that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And so then you don't end up, I mean, you won't end up having send out an email. You're actually sending out a message in an app that
Yeah.
somebody's already in all day.
Yes, yeah, because they're on the app 24/7. Exactly, because like all the
Yeah.
friends are online. Like, hey guys, let's go out Friday night. Where we going? When you meet someone, you ask
Mm,
for their line. You don't ask for their email or telephone, because like that's the number one messaging app in Japan. It's like, it's like WeChat in China, or yeah, yeah,
wow. That's actually even more powerful because it doesn't seem like there's an alternative the way that the United States has TikTok Shop now. Like
yeah.
Amazon sounds like it's the main e-commerce player, and there's not really a
There,
lot of
there's a
competition.
second. Okay, just to give you guys
Yeah.
some more information. I mean, beyond Amazon, there's a second big marketplace in Japan called Rakuten, Rakuten.
Mm,
So they were the number one marketplace, but Amazon surpassed them. Okay, so they're pretty neck and neck. The shopping demographic is a little different, but those are the
mhm,
two. The reason I recommend people get started on Amazon first is, number one, Amazon Seller Central Japan is all in English. So if you're already familiar with it, you'll feel pretty much right at home. Rakuten is all in Japanese, and Amazon, it's quick to get started, but Rakuten has like a, KYC, like know your client compliance check, and it could be very
mhm,
time intensive and very costly. And there's an initial investment. You have to like pay several $1,000s to get set up. So that's why I don't recommend sellers start out with Line. I mean, if they are really interested, they can contact me. I have a partner that has a Rakuten shop platform. So like we can
mm.
help you list your product online first to gauge demand. So if the people are starting to buy it, then you can consider setting up a Rakuten shop. But Rakuten, for those reasons, I don't recommend it as a first step.
That makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I completely forgot about Rakuten because they've been trying to break into the US market, but they're mostly just competing with the Google Chrome extension Honey, in my opinion, where it's like, okay, yeah,
Mm,
I make sure I use my Rakuten code and that's pretty much it. I don't know
yeah,
anyone who goes to Rakuten.com and goes and tries to get the like shop there first. They just use a Rakuten code to get money back. So
yeah,
that's very
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Japanese people are really into the points system. Like it's almost like miles. And Rakuten is
Mhm.
the most popular points card system. So people will have like that Rakuten like code when they go, buy something from the store, right? To rack up those points. So yeah, yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Well, look, Gary, this was really interesting. You want to give everyone just another quick, like where they can find you on the internet kind of thing? Just that way,
Yeah,
in case somebody's right at the end of this and they want to know, where can they
yeah,
find Gary?
yeah, they can find me. We have a YouTube channel as well. Just search for Seven Figure Seller Summit. They can find us there. And if you want to get the bonus pack, then when you do that, you can sign up for our email list. So I'll send out more information related to e-commerce selling, and I'm creating more Japanese content as well. If you guys have any questions about selling in Japan, feel free to drop me an email. Again, Gary at 8020sourcing.com. And also, you can find me on LinkedIn. Just search for my name on LinkedIn, Gary Huang.
Well, look, Gary, thank you very much. This was incredibly valuable and very like helpful. Like I was not
Mm,
expecting, or well, I knew what to expect because we've talked, but like
yeah,
at the beginning of this, I was like, man, this is going to be interesting, but I'm still blown away. This was more interesting than I thought it would be. So thank
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Thanks
yeah.
for
You're
bringing the
very
value.
welcome. Yeah, so I think to summarize, I mean, Japan could be a great way to solve or avoid the tariff problem. And but do your homework, guys, like the six bridges, make sure it's a good fit. But it could be, it could add additional six figures to your bottom line, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
100%.
Thanks so
Well, look,
much.
Gary,
Yeah,
thanks again. And everybody
yeah.
else, see you soon.